Furry fetish? Crooks was a furry? Just like that dude that Tyler Robinson was banging. Then he goes they, them. Then he gets into furries, and then he starts shooting at presidential candidates. Like, what is going on?
They built this weaponization scheme over the course of a decade plus. In these first 8 months that we've been there, we've already charged individuals.
The attempted Trump assassin apparently used they, them pronouns, in addition to being a furry, the thing where they like the animals and put on the costumes or whatever that is. Trump also has posted about this that we'll get to, but Tucker also released a video on Thomas Crooks that showed all of his social media identities that the FBI had covered up that we have not seen before. And Miranda and Tucker were the subject of the FBI Rapid Response new account that was saying that they, I guess, are not capable of handling the truth when they're lobbing criticisms at the FBI, a very strange thing. But Cash has also come out and I think kind of been nudged into having to respond to this. He said when it comes to Thomas Matthew Crooks, the guy who tried to take out Trump and did shoot and kill somebody else and injure 2 other people, Cash said the following. Over 480 FBI employees were involved in the Thomas Crooks investigation. Employees conducted over 1,000 interviews, addressed over 2,000 public tips, analyzed data extracted from 13 seized digital devices, reviewed nearly 500,000 digital files, collected, processed, and synchronized hundreds of hours of video footage, analyzed financial activity from 10 different accounts, and examined data associated with 25 social media or online form accounts. Like, wow, that's a mouthful, man. That's a lot of numbers there. Hopefully you got something good and you can share that with us after all of that work, because if you didn't and there's like really no report or conclusion, that feels like it's a lot of effort for nothing. The FBI's investigation into Crooks identified and examined over 20 online accounts, data extracted from over a dozen electronic devices, and examination of numerous financial accounts, and over 1,000 interviews and 2,000 public tips. It's like, okay, you just said a lot of that in the first paragraph. Now the investigation conducted by over 480 employees, which you already said, I'm going to mark off for that. We're going to mark off half a letter grade for that. You already said that. Revealed Crooks had limited online and in-person interactions, planned and conducted the attack alone, and did not leak or share his intent to engage in the attack with anybody. Wow. Okay, that's like a D- or an F on that. So we got this one sentence conclusion, which is mostly ripped off from your introductory paragraph, Cash, up here. We already know. You already repeated that. And this paragraph is also very duplicative of this first paragraph, because you already said 25 social media or online forum accounts, and then you just said that again down here. So it's just like copy and paste garbage. No, you need to do this again. You need to take this back home and really put some effort into it. I know you're capable of better than this. We don't do this type of work product, not in this classroom. So we need to try it again, because if you did all of that work, and you really have all of that stuff, then we deserve more than a crappy sentence at the bottom. Don't appreciate it. So again, we get more information, not from the FBI or Director Cash. They do a lot of work over there for very little outcome. They investigated themselves 7 times under Arctic haze, couldn't indict anybody. Now the evidence they got from those investigations can't be used to indict anybody. Great job. And then it's like they're just driving around in circles over and over again, just looking at documents and I guess investigating nothing that they can share with us. What a joke. So again, Tucker comes out and releases actual information, and so does Miranda Devine, the 2 people that the FBI Rapid Response Team came out and tried to dunk on. So Miranda came out and said, actually, okay, this dude was a furry. FBI didn't want to talk about that for whatever reason. Kash Patel doesn't want to talk about that for whatever reason, but she reported on this. We are all owed a better explanation from the FBI and the Secret Service. Preach, Miranda, about the attempted assassination of Donald Trump 16 months ago at a campaign rally in Butler. Yes, the president himself remains unsatisfied with this and the answers that he's been given. This dude climbed onto a rooftop and almost killed him. Did kill somebody else. And a lot of people I think just kind of, forget, because like Trump got shot in the head, but Comparator got murdered and then they just hosed down the assassin's blood. Nobody knows what happened. Here's 2 photographs of him. We've seen these before. Dry firing in his room. Crooks was shot dead by a sniper after he killed Corey Comparator and seriously wounded David Dutch, 58, James Kupenhaver, who were sitting in the bleachers behind Trump. Now, there is something very wrong with the official story. Trump demanded answers months ago, but we got a little crappy paragraph from Kash Patel. That's an F, okay? Everybody would fail him here. Even if you like Kash, you're like, come on. The FBI, Chris Wray, told Congress after July 13th attack that the Bureau had found nothing in his online history that pointed to a motive. He can't figure it out. He was just bored. A week later, Paul Abate, the deputy, he told Congress that comments posted on one of Crooks' social media accounts appears to reflect anti-Semitic and anti-immigration themes, to espouse political violence that were described as extreme in nature. There's that liar Christopher Wray. Now, thanks to an enterprising source, Miranda says, who uncovered uncovered Crooks's hidden digital footprint, we can now see that the FBI's Abate misled Congress by omission. Yeah, because he left out an entire section of Crooks's online interactions from January to August 2022, when he did an ideological backflip and went from rabidly pro-Trump to rabidly anti-Trump, then went dark, never posted again. Among the 17 accounts uncovered by our source were the ones that we've seen, and if you watch the Tucker thing, I'd encourage you to watch that. It's very good. YouTube, Snapchat, Venmo, Zelle, GroupMe, Discord, Google Play, Quizlet, Chess, Quora. The online interactions from when Crooks was ages 15 to 17 gave us a better understanding of who this was and who may have reversed his ideology and how and why. The danger that Crooks posed was visible for years. His radicalization, rhetoric, and more wasn't hidden. He was posting all over the internet. The official narrative said he acted alone and did not have a clear ideology, but the source found reams of evidence and info that show, quote, Crooks was not simply some unknowable lone actor. He left a digital trail of violent threats, extremist ideology, admiration for mass violence. He spoke openly of political assassination, posted under his real name, and was even flagged by other users who mentioned law enforcement in their replies. Like, oh, FBI's like, oh, perfect. Yeah, we're going to use this guy to, as a sleeper cell. We'll activate him when needed. Despite this, his account remained active for more than 5 years, was only removed the day after the shooting. Now, none of his online activity was referenced in the final congressional report. Congress had no idea. Here's your final congressional report. They missed all of this. Like, our government's a joke, or they're liars. Probably both. None of this activity was even referenced in the official report. And they say it's an ongoing investigation. So ordinarily you might have, like the DHS, Office of Inspector General, or the DOJ, Office of the Inspector General, some independent agency who's within the division to come in and review a critical scene. No report from them because it's all ongoing. And Kash Patel gave us a little crappy sentence about what they found, which is obviously not true. Says he left a digital trail of violent threats, extremist ideology, and admiration for mass violence. Kash didn't mention any of that. He spoke openly of political assassination, posted under his real name, and was even flagged by other users. None of his online activity was referenced. Starting with Crooks's phone number, the source used tools available to private investigators and web archives to uncover the very online persona of this dude. Most public account was YouTube. 737 public comments under the account name Tom Crooks. Created back in 19, suspended in July 24, the day after the attack. Crooks's trajectory flipped. He was very pro-Trump and then suddenly became anti-Trump. What happened? He referred to Trump as, quote, the literal definition of patriotism on July 20th, 2019. He had several targeted threats against Democratic congressional representatives in the squad, hoping and wishing death, but we want you dead. Said some very bad things. You can read them on your screen. But in the early 2020s, something happened. His ideology flipped 180 degrees, and he became very critical of Trump. Fox News and Republicans, and all are complaining about mail-in voting. There's the president just barely missing it, man. It's a surreal scene. Watch it again, you're like, oh my gosh, we were so close. The first time he criticized Trump was on January 23rd, 2020. He commented on a video of a law professor, Jonathan Turley, talking about Trump's first impeachment. He said, hey, Turley, keep in mind the only reason we may know about any of this is because of Trump's stupidity. Started describing Trump supporters as a cult. He says, how can you people call others sheep, but you are too brainwashed to realize how dumb you are? I mean, literally, you guys sound like a cult sometimes. Also said Trump's a racist. By April 2020, constantly criticizing Trump in the pandemic response, saying he was too slow and everything he's doing now should have been done. So maybe COVID radicalized him. Through the summer of 20, Crooks's online rhetoric became increasingly radical and violent. Then he wrote in August, in my humble opinion, the only way to fight the government is with terrorism-style attacks. Sneak a bomb into a building, track down any important people, and try to take them out. Now, any sort of head-to-head fight is suicide, he said. So we need the war in the propaganda and information space. Also uncovered a bunch of accounts. PayPal. Rod Swanson is a former senior FBI agent who was the chief of investigations for the state of Nevada during the Las Vegas shooting. Rod Swanson, and I think, isn't Ron Swanson? He was also the other character in one of those Will Ferrell movies. He also previously served on FBI Director Robert Mueller's detail. Now, contacted by phone over the weekend, Swanson said he was surprised that his name was connected to Crooks. He said, I don't know anything about that kid or his family. I don't even use PayPal. I don't even know how to set up a PayPal account, said a former FBI agent. Former FBI, I don't know how to use PayPal. A computer? What's that? He said he retired from the FBI in 2016 and he went to work for Nevada AG and now he works in oil and gas. This FBI agent. Furry fetish. Crooks was a furry? Just like that dude that Tyler Robinson was banging. But when told of Crooks's online threats, he said there was no way the FBI would not be aware of the teenager. No matter how ridiculous the allegation, no matter if it's COVID or not, somebody's going to knock on somebody's door, said Swanson. They investigated that kid, there's a record of it, and somebody would have made, responded to his threats. Now, like the alleged Charlie Kirk assassin, Tyler Robinson, Crook was also interested in furries and exploring gender identity. He described himself with the pronouns they, them on the platform DeviantArt, which is one of the biggest online hubs for furry art and the furry community. A furry is someone who has an interest in an anthropomorphized animal characters, often as a sexual fetish. 2 accounts linked to Crooks's primary email were found on DeviantArt under usernames Epic Microwave and the Epic Microwave. The account suggests he had an obsession with scantily clad cartoon characters sporting muscle-bound male bodies and female heads. Now, one of the people Crooks interacted with online was this guy called Willie Tepes, and Tucker had this all over his documentary. A member of Norwegian neo-Nazi group called the Nordic Resistance Movement, which has since been designated a terrorist organization by the State Department. He encouraged violence and Crooks's extremism using a Maoist phrase, political power comes from the barrel of a gun. In another comment, Tepes said that he had been contacted by Russian and American intelligence. And yeah, people who ask you to contact them, they're feds. This is how they avoid entrapment. And so they're talking with each other. But here's a question from Miranda. Did his brush with the Norwegian and his own violent rhetoric win him a visit from the FBI or the Secret Service? Did they go check on him at all after he's threatening to murder people? If not, why not? If they did, why has this not been disclosed? Miranda Devine says the FBI refused to comment on this when asked on Sunday whether Crooks was ever investigated, because Cash would rather just go scream about how numbers. 5,000 this, 100% this, 25 million of these, whatever. What do you have as a result? Or are you just digging holes and then filling them up again? And whether there was an FBI file on Crooks before Butler, don't know. FBI also refused to comment. Why have you not been forthcoming on congressional oversight requests? Ray told Congress in 24, 11 days after the shooting, he said the Bureau did not have any prior information about the shooter. And he was, quote, not in our holdings before the shooting. He said we ran a search and never found him. Susan Crabtree, the Secret Service whisperer over there at Real Clear Politics, has broken multiple stories on this, says her key Secret Service source from 2020 told me that Crooks was not a person of record in the Secret Service and wasn't known until Butler. Another photograph of this dude. Miranda says something doesn't add up. Yeah. Ray has been heavily criticized after Parkland because Cruz was on their radar. Was Ray trying to avoid for being blamed for another atrocity? Is that why he downplayed Trump's injury? Remember, he's like, it could have been shrapnel. If the Secret Service had been aware of this, wouldn't the Secret Service have gone over there? There's another gun. We don't know what happened because the Secret Service after action report is classified. The only bodies that could look at are the intelligence committees in Congress, and they don't care. No curiosity out of them. A criminal investigation of a presidential assassination falls under the jurisdiction of the FBI, and Cash is too busy worried about his girlfriend. Johnson had to issue a subpoena in July on the first anniversary of the Butler attack and complained that he had been stonewalled by the FBI and the Secret Service. Yeah, of course, Ron has. Trump and those close to him are also skeptical of this story. Is it hard to believe the FBI or the Secret Service miss Crooks? I don't know, or kind of allowed him to exist. The question is, what did they do about him? And the answer is, maybe nothing. So good story over there from Miranda, but here are some of the screenshots from this dude. Then he goes they, them, then he gets into furries, and then he starts shooting at presidential candidates. Like, what is going on? So the Gateway Pundit, and this came over from Brianna Mello. Tucker Carlson and Miranda published their investigative reports, but these are the screenshots, and I can see why Miranda didn't want to include them because they're pretty gruesome. But Brianna went through and got them. So that's Thomas Crooks. Here's one account over on DeviantArt, they, them. So you get transed up, you get furried up, and suddenly you become a political, adversary. This one, a secondary account has been deleted, but there were some images being posted, like this cartoon figure being cracked in the head, this other cartoon figure shooting and killing something. Crooks also operated a PayPal account, Rod Swanson, and a Google Play account called Epic Microwave. And here are some of the posts that he wrote. So who knows what ultimately happened, but we would like more answers than, one sentence would be nice, more than just one little sentence right here. Limited online presence. Okay, thanks, Cash. Great job. Trump says more about all of this. Our FBI is a joke. It still is a joke until they showed us differently. We still don't have answers on how many feds were in the crowd. Feds, not FBI. Federal agents, sources adjacent to them, CHSs, informants, sources. I don't care. We want answers. Trump said it was just revealed the FBI had secretly placed against all rules, regulations, and protocols. He posted this one a while ago. 274 FBI agents into the crowd just prior to the January 6th folks. This is different from what Christopher Wray stated, and Christopher Wray needs to be prosecuted as well. Trump posted this one in addition to reposting that other one. He said, Wray lied. We know that there were federal agents down there, and he posted this one today, bright and early this morning, and he shared this Chris Farley meme to Pam Bondi. He said, Christopher Wray testified before Congress that there were not agents in the crowd. We know that there were many of them in the crowd, and we don't trust their numbers on what they qualify as somebody who was from the FBI in the crowd. But then Chris Farley comes out and he says, Pam Bondi, for the love of God, just arrest somebody, screaming it in only the way Chris Farley can. So Kash Patel came out, he was on with Maria Bartiromo, and he said, well, there's going to be accountability. There are criminal referrals that are being opened, and we're going to get to the bottom of this, and I'll probably give you more information that's not just one sentence that is a failing grade in English class.
Accountability director. And I know that there's a limited amount you can say about this with regard to what happens next. There was a criminal referral for John Brennan. Do you believe we will see accountability?
Yes, 100%. We are delivering this accountability. But I'd just like to remind the audience, and I think you know this better than anyone, they built this weaponization scheme over the course of a decade plus. In these first 8 months that we've been there, we've already charged individuals, thanks to this great Department of Justice, who are at the pinnacle of this weaponization of government. We've already turned over, by the way, Maria, James Comey turned over 3,000 documents to Congress for oversight. Christopher Wray turned over 13,000. This FBI, under our leadership, has turned over 38,000 pages of information to Congress for congressional oversight purposes, which is wed to accountability, which is wed to the referrals that they send us back that we activate at the FBI. Every single letter they send us that has a substantive referral is opened by this FBI.
All right, so that sounds good. We'll see. But I would like to see results on some of these key issues. I appreciate the numbers. I know we can be a little bit, aggressive, and we're like, well, 1,000 arrests, 50,000, kilograms of whatever, blah, blah, blah. A lot of that is just standard operating procedure. The FBI should be doing those things. No question about it. And we're glad when they do a good job on those things. But what this administration was elected to do was to fix the weaponization. And that means we need justice for a lot of these loose ends that need to be rectified, lest we have further perversions of our entities. We want answers on J6. We want answers on Butler. We want answers on it all. And we're going to keep putting pressure on them until we get it. But Kash is saying it's going to come soon, so we'll keep our eye on it. Thank you for joining us and subscribing as we do.